Warning. The following video contains strong language that some viewers may find offensive or disturbing.
What is something unrealistic that you often see in movies that annoys the hell out of you? People climbing through ductwork to get in between rooms. Most ducts are not big enough for a person to fit in. And very spiky, even if they are big enough. Those bands around most ducts? They are screwed in place. And nobody trims those suckers down. So you should be getting stabbed every 18 inches. Turning on the TV and what they needed to hear is on TV in the right channel at the right time. Women waking up and going to sleep with a full face of makeup. And, if they're large-breasted, their breasts don't fall to the side. Or if they're normal-breasted, they stay poking straight up when they're lying on their back. I really want to see someone just roll their ankle in an action movie. Minor injuries happen so often IRL, but nobody in movies ever jumps off a roof and just kinda lands weird. People are either totally fine or have life-threatening injuries. Attorneys pacing around during a trial and attorneys approaching the judge without asking. My personal favorite is when a new, damning piece of evidence or witnesses is presented in the middle of trial to the complete surprise of the opposing party. Like, sorry buddy, but discovery deadline was a month ago. You should know this. Or when the victim of some sort of violence is testifying and still has cuts, bruises from the incident. No, trial prep takes forever. Walking up to a microphone and it squeals feedback. Always. In reality, that shouldn't happen unless the sound person is a moron. It only happens when the person speaking is awkward or had something really lame to say. Blows to the head, knocking someone out for exactly as long as is convenient for the plot with no long-term consequences whatsoever. Even otherwise, realistic shows and movies are guilty of this. In reality, and blow to the head strong enough to knock you out is likely to cause brain damage or even death. There's a movie I can't remember now that pokes fun at this. The guy's just like, ow, why would you do that? Just tie me up. Do you know the damage you could cause? Or something along those lines. Wish I could remember the movie. Any movie where the villain who is beating the shit out of the hero decides to brag or monologue before killing them. Which gives the hero enough time for a sneak attack or for somebody else to intervene. Or he leaves the hero on his own after telling him exactly how he plans to kill him. Again, allowing time for the escape, rescue. If you're gonna do it, just do it already. People taking their eyes off the road for like 5 seconds. They always turn themselves completely around to talk to people in the back seat or beside them. As if they couldn't hear each other otherwise. I genuinely had a friend that would do that. You'd ask him a question and he's completely look at you. It was fucking terrifying. You'd be sitting in the back seat and he'd be driving on the interstate just staring at you. Look up front, Brian. Next time you see two characters having a conversation in the front of a car, pay attention to the rearview mirror. More often than not, it's been removed for a cleaner shot of the characters. Whenever someone is working on a vehicle, they are quite often using a pipe wrench or huge crescent wrench. Neither are going to get you too far working on a vehicle. LMAO, yeah, and no matter what job they're supposedly doing, it requires sliding under the car on a creeper directly in the middle so the viewers only see their legs at first when the other characters come in and start talking to them. Constantly turning ratchets but never producing any bolts or old parts to show for it. That autistic kids are either dumb as fuck or they are like the next step in evolution. And the last time I checked, they're all boys. Apparently, movie writers don't think female autistics exist. Edit. Wow, people actually care about this. Grip strength. People hanging off of anything. One-handed. For long times. Holding on to other people. Pulling themselves up. General population can't do a pull-up. Always being able to take off work to go on last vacations and always having the money for last-minute flights. People with long hair, often women, fighting with their hair down. I can't even eat noodle soup with my hair down. Never mind doing anything remotely physical. The beatings people take and how quickly they get up from devastating blows. Or when someone is knocked unconscious and remains so for hours to days and is totally fine. If you are straight knocked TF out for an hour and then wake up, you aren't just gonna shake the cobwebs out and get back to taking down an entire mob family. You are fucked up. Courtroom confessions. But also just courtroom scenes in general. First, nobody confesses to a crime while on the witness stand at somebody else's trial. Nobody. Second, have you been to court? It's 97% waiting around. 2% wondering if you have time to go to the bathroom. And 1% anything to do with you or your case. Exactly. And cases go on for months, sometimes even years. And judges do not take last-minute evidence and do not accept interruptions or anything like that, at least not in Australia. You cannot walk randomly into a courtroom while a hearing or trial is in progress. Kids are rarely used as witnesses and are treated with disrespect by the defendant's lawyer. Usually talked into believing they misremember what they saw, experienced. Their evidence becomes so dicey they usually have to throw it out. I've never seen a kid on the stand. I'm sure it's happened, but it's as you say. I remember seeing a simple run-of-the-mill possession drug case turn into a 4-year saga with defense applying for a stay because of a myriad of technicalities due to legal aid. It was horrific, as was the defense, notoriously hopeless. It got wrapped up with the standard sentence. Bleak House by Dickens captures the endless court case in the equity court. Also, Judge Judy is like an angry magistrate in an American setting. It's misleading in Australia. Higher courts, trial courts, definitely not like that. Need a guy out of plot for a little while? Why not just hit him on the head really hard? Yeah, he'll probably just have a nap and a 10-second headache when he wakes up. Sorry, John was unconscious for a full minute and now is a vegetable. Related, pistol whipping someone. Oh yeah, I'll just smash this guy across the face with a 2-pound hunk of metal. I'm sure he'll just be ouchie, as if I punched him. In real life, broken jaw, broken orbital, or a concussion depending on where you land it. There is obviously no coffee in the cup. Orders coffee. Immediately takes huge ass sip. Dude, let that shit cool off a minute. I used to think that was fake too. But my wife actually does that. We pour 2 cups of coffee in the morning. While I am blowing and sipping to cool that shit down. She has finished her first cup and poured her second. It is freaky. When people slice the palm of their hand open for a drop of blood. That shit will take forever to heal. Just prick your finger. Damn, looking at you. Supernatural. The amount of times they slice their forearms for blood. They should look like recovered cutters with scars all over the damn place. Fuckers who yank out their IVs. Tugged on mine once and I fucking cried. I remember waking up from a surgery and trying to do this when I was a kid because I was groggy and scared and the pain was so bad I threw up on myself. Working as a waitress. Or some other near minimum wage, poverty wage job and having excessive time off and money and things like huge houses. This exact thing, the single mom waitress in a 3,000 square foot apartment with a 2-year-old car and an amazing haircut. I fucking hate that beyond belief. Another version of that is basically anyone on HGTV. My husband is a part-time kindergarten teacher and I make artisanal toilet seats. We have a budget of $8 million. Bad guy receives a mortal wound like a point-blank gunshot to the torso or deep knife wound and just lays there bleeding profusely for a minute with the protagonist immediately forgetting about them. Then is able to somehow stand up and have like an 8-round boxing match with the protagonist before finally being finished off. Would expand that to fatally injured characters in general all getting the power to teleport when not on screen. When someone obviously lies, stammering and umming and awing and looking this way and that. And everyone in the audience can see they are lying. But the person they are lying to, staring them in the face from 2 feet away, completely believes them. Gunshot to the leg and they can still walk. One to the lungs and they're breathing fine. One in the heart and they either die instantly or spend a whole minute talking. It is 10 to 20 seconds, not 6 minutes. Shot in the leg. Limp like a motherfucker for about 2 minutes. Then race up 6 flights of stairs. Jump from one building to the other. Then jump 6 stories into an open garbage truck for the lucky getaway. Tomorrow barely a noticeable limp at all. I know we're talking about movies. But I always thought it was funny when I would be playing Call of Duty and I'd shoot someone in the leg with a .50 caliber bullet and they wouldn't even break stride. Like damn, your leg should be blown off. I know that we shouldn't be looking at video games for realism. But that always made me laugh. Let's overlook the fact that I'm running around with a snipe rifle that is comically large and trying to shoot people while running and not using a scope. Silencers do not mute the gun. It only makes the sound more tolerable. The scene in John Wick 2 where John and Cassian are sneakily shooting at each other with silenced pistols in the middle of a crowded subway terminal is so fucking stupid and I love it. And John Wick mostly got the gun stuff right. He reloads, not after 12 shots out of a revolver. Has trigger discipline, and actually carries his rounds. I was actually upset at that scene because they got most of the stuff right but failed so much on it. Translating an ancient text but then it still rhymes. To be fair, as a translator your job is to give the most accurate rendition of the source text in your target language. So it's possible to do it, but most of the times either just a few parts will rhyme or it just flat out won't at all. Another thing that irks me is how the person translating the text will never read it a few times before reading it aloud to get a better sense of it. Also she never bumps into unknown words and never fumbles around when reading it nor uses dictionaries or anything. If it was this easy my clients would get their translated text on the same day I'd get it. Empty cups and cans and suitcases. For crying out loud, just put some water in that Starbucks cup. Give our brains a little help ignoring the glaring ignorance to the laws of fluid dynamics, gravity, and the human musculoskeletal system. How it takes less than a week to develop a vaccine for a global pandemic and by a brilliant scientist who was kicked out of their institution for being too radical. And it's one scientist who comes up with the final solution that they of course inject themselves with it first and have their results instantly. That's not how science works. And that's definitely not what testing a vaccine looks like. No cleanup after sex. Or before. And synchronized orgasms after 10 seconds of sex. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification button. See you next time.